Hi guys, this is just a quick EQAO video, just to give you a heads up and show you exactly what's going to happen when you have to write EQAO. In case it's been a while or if you haven't done it ever, although you probably did it in grade 3 and 6. Okay, so you'll get a package and it will be like wrapped in plastic, and inside your package will be, actually, okay, inside your package will be four booklets, a formula sheet, and an envelope. So you'll open it up, all this stuff will be there. So you'll have two booklet ones, questions and answers. I did that opposite. And it will say, I just wrote this on, but it will say like booklet 1. And then you'll have two more that say booklet 2. You'll have formula sheets, which EQAO provides you, and a white envelope. It's like this. So at our school, what we usually do when we open it all up, we take our envelope, we write our name on it, and then we take our booklet 2s and we pop them in the envelope. You can only write one at a time. So we pop that in and put that aside, and then we just write booklet 1 in our formula sheet. Okay, so how it works is there's an answer booklet and a question booklet. So the question booklet has all of your multiple choice questions in it. So as you can kind of see, it has, like, it goes through 1, 2, I think about 14 multiple choice in each booklet. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then all of a sudden it will stop and it will say, go to the answer booklet and complete the 6 open response questions. You can do these in any order. You can do all your multiple choice first and your open response second, or you can start with your open response. Doesn't really matter. Do it in any order that you feel like you like doing. So then that's your question book. So your answer book is the actual only book that EQAO will mark. So the answer book has where you put the answers to your multiple choice questions. So there's 7, and you just color in the dots really clearly. And then it has your open response questions in it. So I think there's 4 in each booklet. 4 in each booklet. And the idea is for these open response questions to complete the work within the order there. And they also really like it when you write your final answer in the appropriate space that they provide you. So, I don't know, try to use their formatting. Just do what they say. And read the instructions really carefully so that you know exactly what they're asking you. So then once you finish the 4 open response questions, then the rest of the multiple choice answers will be on the back page. So some tips. I think I like doing the open response first, personally, because I feel like if I run out of time, I can just guess on multiple choice. But you can't really guess on open response. So if it were me, then I would do the open response first. So you could start here, and you just like fill in all your work and do your 4 open response questions right off the bat. And then once you're done your open response questions, then maybe I would do my multiple choice ones right after that. And I would have, my bubbles open so I could be shading in my answers as I go. And I would have my questions here. And another important thing I would do for multiple choice is, as I do the questions, once I found the correct answer, I would circle it in my question book like that. Oh, I'm having trouble with this. Like that, circle it there. EQAO won't even look at this. You can use this as scrap paper if you want to. Yeah, it just says that they don't mark this booklet, so feel free to write on it. If you're going through and you're like, I definitely know the answer is not A, so I'm gonna like scribble that out. You can do that. So once you know the answer, circle it in there just as a backup, and then bubble it in on here. So I'm going to bubble in, I know C is the correct answer. So then you just color in the bubble like so. And I think that's a good idea just because you're stressing out and you might mess up. And so just in case you like missed a line or something, and then you get to the end and you're like, oh no, I thought 3 was 2 and 2 was 3 and blah, blah. So at least you have like a backup of answers here, and you can just double check them when you're done. Just an idea. Okay, so the only formulas you get for EQAO are these ones here. They're your perimeter area, volume, and surface area formulas. That's all they give you. But I don't know where, depending on where you're writing, EQAO says you can have a couple things on your walls. So some of the formulas you're allowed to have on your walls, which you can tell your teachers if you're not writing at the board office, then you can have the Pythagorean theorem up on the walls of the classroom. So you could just, write it on the chalkboard or something. You could have the slope formula if that helps you. This guy, rise over run. So you can put that up in your classroom. You can have the equation of a line, y equals mx plus b. So those are some of, I think those are probably it that you could have in your classroom, and you're not allowed to say anything about them. So you're not allowed to indicate m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. You can't do that. But you could just have these out there. Okay, so that's all you got. And another tip for you, multiple choice answers are not random. They try to figure out, what mistake would you make? So let's do an example. If you can read this. Actually, let me just turn the camera around here. And I just stole these off last year's. This is last year's test. Okay, so question 1. A ball is dropped from a cliff that is 135 meters high, blah, blah, blah. We don't even care. All we really care about is this equation. And that h is the height and t is the time. So it says which is closest. So notice it says closest, so it's not going to be the exact, whichever one's closest, to the height of the ball after 2.1 seconds. So what it wants us to do is, since this is time, 2.1 seconds, it wants us to substitute 2.1 in for t. So you're going to have negative 4.9 times 2.1 squared plus 135. If you actually calculated that on a calculator, I did it. Well, actually, I didn't even show my work here, but I just subbed 2.1 in brackets there, and I calculated it, and it equaled, it's like working in a mirror, 113.391. So you can see that it's closest to 113, so C is the correct answer. But what I went through and I tried to figure out, well, how could you mess up and get these answers? So for example, let's say you forgot to square the t, and you did negative 4.9 times 2.1 plus 135, and you totally forgot to square it. Well, that answer happens to be 125. So you might think as you're doing this question, oh, yes, 125. I totally got that answer, and it's there. Don't be too excited, because EQAO anticipates what could you do, what could your mistake be, and they do it and put it as a multiple choice response. So usually all of these answers are not random numbers. They're totally numbers you could get if you mess up. So beware. They try to they want to make sure you know it, right? They don't want to, yeah. Anyways, tricky. And sometimes multiple choice questions could be multiple steps. So let's see if we can find one of those really quickly. Some of them are so long too, eh? Let's just see here. Sorry, just going through quick. Some of them are these look like pretty fast ones. Yeah, that's a graphing one. Sorry, I should have done this ahead of time, obviously. Okay, maybe this one. I mean, it's not super crazy, but a semicircle with a right triangle in it is shown. So you can see here. It wants to know the radius of the semicircle. So you can see that if you used Pythagorean theorem, 16 squared plus 12 squared, and then square root of that. Let's just do that. 16 squared plus 12 squared equals 400. And then if I take the square root of 400, I get 20. So if you just think, oh, it's 20 is the correct answer. I just got that. That's actually the diameter, right? That's from one side to the other, 20. So the actual correct answer is 10. So just be careful, because sometimes if you have to do an extra step at the end of your calculations, I find lots of people just jump to, oh my God, 20. Okay, get that in there, get to the next question. Just take a sec. You have 2 hours to write this booklet if you want to, which is plenty of time. The people, like, not last year, but the year before, they only had a 60-minute time limit. So they extended it to be double what they had before. And if you have an IEP, which most people in this class do, you actually can have 4 hours, which is so long. So do not rush. Please take your time. 2 hours, honestly, is tons of time to do this test. Okay, what else do I have to tell you? Hi again. I guess that's it. You don't really need to write your name on anything. I mean, depending on the teacher, they might ask you to, because then it's easy for them to mark it after. But there's also a barcode, which these are practice books, so there's no barcode on them. But there is a barcode on your book and has a number on it, and that's associated with your name. So we can look up your number of your barcode and stuff. So you don't need to write your name on it, or you can, whatever you want. So then what happens after you're done booklet 1, after your 2 hours is up, you just pack it up, hand it to your teacher, and my envelope fell around. Get your envelope, pick out book 2, which I didn't actually print out, and then you do book 2, and that's another 2 hours. And you might be doing this all in one day, over 2 days. That's pretty much your only options. And you use the same formula sheet both times. And you can write on your formula sheet, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to go back to EQAO. Neither does your envelope, so I don't know. Okay, what else should I tell you about EQAO? Sorry, I just can't think of anything else. I guess make sure you color in your bubbles like that. I feel like that's pretty obvious. Like I said, like they like when you put your actual answer in the spot that they provided. I guess I could tell you about how they mark it. So people in Toronto mark it. I've marked it, I don't know, maybe for 6 years in a row. I'm not doing it anymore though. It's what it looks like for those people that mark it is they have this giant stack of tests, and they spend 8 hours, and they mark the same 3 open response questions for who, they don't know who they're marking. They just get the test and they just mark it. And actually, they don't call it marking, they call it scoring, because what they do is, to show you here, they match it to exemplars. If you don't care about how they mark it, then you can totally stop listening to this video, because I'm not really going to say anything else. So, where is that spot? Let me just see if I can find it on their website. Examples, grade 9. I think they have the scoring rubrics. My internet is so slow right now. While we're waiting for this, FYI, I added your writing location to the link here, which is also going to take 100 years maybe. Okay, yeah, so if you're not sure where you're writing, I put everyone's name in. I didn't put your last name, just for, I don't know, whatever. So you can see like, oh, these are the people that are writing at the board office. These are the people writing at other schools. This person needs to email me back. And these are the out-of-board students. Oh, just kidding. Zach, you are writing somewhere that I actually know about. I can't remember. Westwood, maybe? I forget the days, but you're definitely in. I'll add that to there. Okay, so let's see if this page loaded. Scoring guides, scoring rubrics. So how the people in Toronto mark it is they match it to a rubric, and they score you as a blank. You wrote nothing. An I means illegible, irrelevant, like nothing. We can't even give you any marks because it doesn't even make sense. A level 10 is pretty much like your lowest level. Like you don't really understand things, but you did do something to show a teeny tiny bit of understanding, but not much. A level 20 is a partial understanding, but there's lots of errors or some kind of misconception. And then the level 30 and 40 are both passes. So you need to score a level 30 and a 40 on your open response questions to pass the question. So these are just examples. So there's this question is about a rectangle and it has a square removed and you have to determine the length of x. And they tell you the area of the rectangle is 126 centimeters squared, not including the square. So this is a level 10. Somebody said, well, area equals length times width, and the length is 5 and the width is 3, so 15. Cool, but the length is actually 5x and the width is actually 3x, so it's not actually 15. And we already know the area of the rectangle is 126, not 15. So like they showed some kind of understanding of measurement, but not much. Okay, a level 20, this person did do 5x times 3x, but they got 15x instead of 15x squared. So that's a misconception. And then they never actually figured out what x is. So they did a little bit more than the level 10, but they didn't do much more. Okay, then the code 30 shows quite a bit of understanding. So they did multiply 5x by 3x, so length times width, and they got 15x squared. They divided by 15, because they're trying to isolate x, and they got 8.4. And then they square rooted to get 2.8, which is great. So they said the side length of the square is 2.8 centimeters. But they had an error in their process. As the square, wow, that's small, minor error. The square root of 8.4 incorrectly rounded to 2.8, so it should have been rounded to 2.9. Wow, that's like a really teeny tiny error. But there you have it. Make sure you round correctly, guys. If it's 5 or higher, round up. Okay, this person. Oh no, they didn't. Okay, my bad. They did do a mistake too. They didn't subtract the square, the x by x square. Sorry, I didn't read that. So the square was removed. So they had to do 15x squared minus x squared. Cool. Okay, so then this is a perfect answer. So they did 5x times 3x to get 15x squared, but then they also know that to get the area of this large rectangle, then you also have to subtract this one. I'm sorry. Actually, that is a bit confusing wording because it says the area of the rectangle without the square is 126. So I guess it's just saying the area of the actual rectangle is 126. I'm sorry if the wording of EQAO kind of messes you up. Like, do the best that you can. At least if you misinterpret it, you get a level 3 here like this person did, and that's still a pass. So then the level 4 person actually subtracted the x squared to get 14, divided both sides by 14, square rooted it to get 3. So they did everything correctly. So what the people at EQAO do is they have a copy of these anchor charts for each level, and they match your response to each of the anchor charts. And if your anchor chart doesn't, if your response doesn't match an anchor chart, like say you did a different mistake than everyone here, then they try to figure out, well, what kind of mistake did you make? Was it like a similar one to the level 20? Like they just try to match it. So it's not like you get 2 marks for that, 2 marks for that. Like it's basically they match your response to the anchor charts. And you don't get your results for EQAO until maybe like October. It takes a long time. They're released in August to the schools. Then your individual students' results are not released until September. And then by the time the schools get them to you, it's usually October. And since you guys are in my class, I don't know when you'll get them because it's e-learning, and I think they'll all get sent to Delta if you're on our data collection system. So then I just would board mail them to you wherever you are. You're welcome to email me in September, October, and be like, Miss, how'd I do? And then I'll also mark them, also like myself, but I don't have anchor charts or anything, so I'm just marking them based on my own expertise. Okay. So anyways, that's just a whole video about EQAO. I hope you're not too nervous because it's a good test, and you know, when you're anxious and nervous, you do way worse. So try to be relaxed, chew some gum, I heard that helps, and get a good night's sleep before the test, and try not to stress if you can. Okay,